idea that's getting a lot of attention is the Dems need to find their Joe Rogan, a liberal Joe Rogan, because that's why Kamala lost. Republicans have a podcast. Okay, maybe. Or you could consider this. Instead of conjuring up a new Joe Rogan, ask yourself why you lost the old one. Because he used to be on your side. But I watched the evolution of both these guys. This didn't happen overnight. In 2022, before he owned Twitter, Elon tweeted this chart depicting how he felt about the liberal side having shifted so much that it left a basically liberal centrist like him now labeled a conservative. I related to the kind of mean girl shit you get from the cool kids in Wokeville.
Bill Maher just took a flamethrower to the Democratic Party and it was brutal. In his signature no-holds-barred style, Maher ripped into Democrats for turning on their own, gaslighting key allies, and pushing people away. His scathing critique sent shockwaves through the party, and I've got every explosive clip right here. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode like this one.
To strategize. Democrats have been having a lot of donor retreats lately where liberal strategists hold ideathons, where they try to figure out why they keep losing elections. You know, apart from using words like ideathon. And now one idea that's getting a lot of attention is the Dems need to find their Joe Rogan, a liberal Joe Rogan, because that's why Kamala lost. Republicans have a podcast.
I'll get back to the clip in a moment, but let's be clear. Democrats are scrambling after their crushing loss last November. That urgency is understandable, but real solutions won't come from echo chambers and think tanks recycling tired talking points. If the party wants to rebuild, it needs to start by listening to its voters, to honest critics, and to the uncomfortable truths staring them in the face. Instead, they're floating ridiculous ideas like finding their own Joe Rogan, as if imitation can replace authenticity. Maher sees right through it, and what he says next might just send the party into a tailspin.
According to a new Gallup poll, 45% of Democrats want the party to move to the center, which is up 11 points from 4 years ago. Now, whenever a political party finds a real star president, the other side always says, well, we have to find our Bill Clinton, our Reagan, our Obama. Well, the Democrats need to find their Trump. Not the authoritarian part, but the part where a politician bonds with everyday Americans because he talks like them. And the good news for Democrats is they have that guy, and his name is John Fetterman. After the election, instead of curling up in a ball, Fetterman went to Mar-a-Lago, where Trump assumed he was one of the guys from January 6th.
This is exactly what I've been saying. Some of the loudest Republican voices today were once die-hard Democrats. They didn't just disagree with conservatives, they despised them. But then the woke virus took hold. Instead of confronting it, Democratic leaders stood by, watching it alienate loyal, reasonable liberals who believed in traditional progressive values but couldn't stomach the extremism. Now, the party's shocked these people walked away. But what did they expect? You can't shame and silence your base and expect loyalty. You can't replace reason with dogma and expect people to stay. Ignore reality, and it will hit you in the face.
That's the kind of gay-adjacent respect Trump usually reserves for Putin. Trump and Fetterman actually have a lot in common. They're both plain-spoken anti-elitists who come from money, married exotic immigrant ladies, went to Ivy League schools, and aren't afraid to take on their own party. And when the wind catches Trump's hair just right, they're both 6'8". Look, here's the thing. Voters aren't really savvy about the issues, but they have made it clear what is important to them.
Maher continues his scorched earth takedown by warning Democrats about the real political cost of going too far left. He points out what many on the left still won't admit. Most people aren't voting Republican out of love for Trump. They're voting against a party that lectures, shames, and labels them morally inferior for holding long-standing beliefs. Voters are sick of being force-fed a new orthodoxy. That punishes disagreement and treats everything as offensive. That backlash is growing, and ignoring it is political suicide.
Authenticity, balls, and charisma. Trump has that package, and so does Fetterman. He's only been a senator 2 years, and he's already more famous than most of his colleagues. Quick, I dare you to name this sad-looking lady from Washington State who's been in the Senate for 30 years. You can't teach charisma or balls. Fetterman is that rare Democrat who's not afraid to put the woke nonsense peddlers in his own party in their place, saying things like, wanting a secure border and realizing that it was out of control, that doesn't mean you're a xenophobe or a racist. He's been unequivocally pro-Israel, as are most Americans, and when pro-Palestinian protesters showed up at his home, he went up on the roof and waved an Israeli flag.
Elon Musk's falling out with Trump might seem like a win for Democrats, but don't celebrate just yet. The real question is, are Democrats willing to ditch the woke ideology that's become central to their identity? Here's where I part ways with Maher. He still hopes the party can I don't. They've embraced identity politics, racial essentialism, and a fragile culture where disagreement is labeled as hate speech. They won't even challenge trans activists when reason demands it. They've made it clear, they'd rather lose voters than risk being called insensitive. That's not strategy, that's suicide.
Can I pretend I can really think about anything other than the Trump-Elon thing? Well, I mean, when you think about it, the richest man in the world and the most powerful man in the world, it's like Godzilla versus King Kong. If Godzilla was on ketamine and King Kong had a comb-over.
As for Musk and Trump, their feud isn't necessarily permanent. These are two massive egos with long memories but also with strategic instincts. Political alliances shift. Trump has survived worse and still won. So instead of celebrating what they think is Trump's downfall, Democrats should focus on offering something better. That means ditching divisive rhetoric, abandoning culture war, distractions, and showing voters they can govern, not just oppose.
Call that a gettable voter. Someone who's mulling a change. Maybe this will put quietus to the nonsense that Elon and Rogan too went to the dark side. I hear that all the they went to the dark. Yeah, like they got that The Last of Us fungal infection and became zombies. No, they just got driven away. Because that's how politics works these days. One side gets elected precisely because the other side was just in power and pushed their agenda way too far and drove people in the opposite direction. The pendulum swings back and forth with people not voting for anything, but just to get rid of the latest extremist assholes who tried to remake America in their image instead of just governing.
Everyone has their own vision for America, that's not the issue. The problem is extremism on both sides. When politics becomes about purity tests and outrage, democracy starts to wobble. One thing Maher misses is this: most Americans don't care about ideology. They care about their daily lives, putting food on the table, getting their kids into good schools, affording health care, and protecting their freedoms. They're not looking for a culture war. They want stability. Until leaders understand that, they'll keep losing the people they claim to represent.
Well, right now, it's the Republicans who are the very definition of drunk with power, and also sometimes just drunk. But the drunk with power part, that's what Democrats should pay attention to, because you know who's easy to beat in a fight? A drunk. Really, I've done it. Now, I was also drunk, so it was a draw. But the point is, Trump owns the lowest 100-day job approval rating of any president. Only 39% approve of his handling of the economy, which was always his forte. You know, it's not like anyone was asking for tariffs. Do you think the bros and the bras, you think they want to pay $150 more for a PlayStation? You think they want the government to ban abortion and ban pornography and do lots of other far-right stuff that's in the Project 2025 blueprint? Please, their project for 2025 is trying to get laid.
It's still early, and statistics can mislead. Remember when the media prematurely called the 2024 election for Kamala Harris? reality hit hard. Trump's support is still strong, rallies are packed, grassroots energy is alive. Meanwhile, Democrats aren't exactly inspiring confidence. From radical school policies to online censorship to politicized agencies, they're alienating moderates and independents. They're doubling down on identity politics, vilifying parents, and letting far-left activists shape their message. The result? Division. Even center-left voters are rethinking their loyalties. So, don't count Trump out and don't assume a Democratic comeback. The ground is still shifting. It's
not just Democrats who aren't really digging Trump too. Adding trillions more debt is not sitting well, and even the likes of Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro have called out the corruption. Even the deporting of illegals, which America generally supports, is pissing people off now. I read a story last week about this town of Kennett, Missouri, where just about everyone voted for Trump, but now is pissed because ICE removed their favorite waitress, a beloved local mother of 3 named Carol Hui, currently facing deportation back to Hong Kong. One local woman said, "No one voted to deport moms. We were all under the impression we were just getting rid of the gangs. This is Carol."
Let's be real. Trump made a clear promise crackdown on illegal immigration. For many, that message landed. Illegal immigration strains resources, overwhelms border towns, and can raise crime concerns. But a one-size-fits-all policy is a moral mess. Some undocumented immigrants have lived here for years, paid taxes, raised families, and broken no laws beyond their entry. Deporting them alongside violent offenders is wrong and short-sighted. Leadership requires more than requires judgment. Reforming immigration shouldn't mean breaking lives in the process.
When you elect a bull to run through the china shop, sometimes the china that gets broken is you. Republicans have taken full advantage of how snobby and out of touch Democrats have become to claim the title of party of the working class, but Trump's big, beautiful budget cuts Medicaid by $723 billion. Steve Bannon says a lot of MAGA is on Medicaid. Yeah, it is. 42% of MAGA voters say Medicaid is important to them. Let's see if they miss it.
Democrats also bear the blame. They became snobbish, obsessed with optics, and focused more on destroying Trump than delivering results. They thought media spin and emotional appeals were enough. Meanwhile, real issues, healthcare costs, Medicaid, gaps, long wait times were ignored. Americans don't want political theater. They want results. And when those don't come, they look elsewhere. Trump's flaws are obvious, but so are the Democrats' failures. If they want to win, they need to drop the woke agenda, reconnect with everyday people, and offer real solutions. Otherwise, they'll face another wave of disruption and they'll only have themselves to blame.